Hello everyone, my dear students. Welcome to Python class. Today is new lesson. We are going to start talking about maybe more interesting, more meaningful topics. We covered all the fundamentals like syntax, operators, variables, literals, expressions. So now it's time to discuss our decision making statement. If what makes computer smart, the ability to make decisions. So there are three types of if statement in Python: one case, two cases, and multiple cases. Let's start from the simplest, from the one case if statement. You see the format. So you have to type if keyword, then any Boolean expression, any expression which is evaluated to true or false, then a set of indented statements. Indents are very important in Python. Very common mistake. Beginners keep forgetting to indent statements in the block. We call this, by the way, sometimes block. Also, don't forget there is a column character after Boolean expression. And what happens here is the Boolean expression evaluated. If it's true, then everything below is executed. If it's not true, if it's false, the whole bunch of statements, indented statements, or the whole block is bypassed, and we go straight to statement after if. So this statement doesn't belong to if. Now let's take a couple of examples, and again, two things. Please keep in mind: all the blocks statements must be indented. Column character is required after Boolean expression. So now let's say I have a small program. I initialize age variable aligned to 18, and then here we are. That's my first if. If the age is greater than or equal to 18, then I print two messages: you an adult, you allowed to vote. If the age is less than 18, I skip the block and I go straight to this statement. Then I am trying to change the age in line 8, and again basically the same if. However, now the result going to be different. Those two messages not going to be printed. Let's prove it. So let's run it. And yes, you see, the first time my if worked, the statements were executed, but the second time it didn't, and those two statements that belong to the block were ignored. So very, very often, maybe most of the time, when we say Boolean expression, we mean comparison operators. Because comparison operators, they produce true-false. They are Boolean expressions. But any Boolean expression can be used in if statement, in particular, a Boolean variable. Boolean variable could be used as the condition. Sometimes we call this Boolean expression in if condition. Can I combine in one if many conditions? Yes, you can. It's very common. You're going to do it all the time. And here is another example. I'm trying to calculate my tax. So I took this number from Canada Revenue Agency, and if I'm in 53,000, 106,000 bracket, my tax is 20%. So I created now float variable 60,000. By the way, if I type it like this, it would be integer. But I want to make sure it's float. And then, look, I combine in one if two comparison. And I combine them by using AND logical operator. So, two conditions combined by AND, true only when each one is true. So in my case, because I'm in the brackets with the $60,000 income, I'm going to expect this and this to be printed. Let's prove it. Let's run it. Let's save the changes. And here we are. I see two statements in the block were executed, and from $60,000 yearly income, I have to pay $12,300 tax. If is compound statement. If you remember lesson number 1, compound statement may have inside not only simple statements like you see here inside if I have two print statements, but you may nest if statements, so you can create very sophisticated logic by embedding in one if another if. So I can show you how the same problem with the tax brackets could be solved using nested ifs. So one more example, and now again my income is $60,000, but now I do not combine conditions. Instead, I nest one if, checking if my income is greater, but nested if, checking if my income is less. So in general, those two statements going to be done only if both conditions are true. So this program works exactly the same way as the previous one. However, obviously, I think the previous is easier to understand. So remember, simple rule, nesting is inevitable being a programmer, you're going to nest if statements into each other to express advanced logic. However, whenever you can avoid nesting, do it. Because if you nest too much, too deep, your program is hard to read, hard to understand. So we are going to next lesson analyze more advanced if forms. We are going to analyze two cases if, multiple cases if. Today we just covered the simplest if, one case if. Thank you very much for watching. Please support the channel by your likes, your comments, your views. I wish you all the best. Bye-bye.